Hernando de Soto, a Spanish explorer, led his army into the Tennessee River Valley in 1539. He was looking for gold. Instead, the Cherokee offered him bread. It was a flat loaf produced from a fruit so rich and sweet that troops who had just traveled across the ocean said they had never tasted anything like it. Dotto wrote about it back home. 70 years later, John Smith did the same at Jamestown. Every explorer who came after did the same. Every single one of them stated the same thing. It tastes just as good as an apricot when ripe. Then we imported something from Asia to replace it. And the majority of Americans today are unable to even identify it. Greetings from nature's lost vault. A word opens the archive, Persimmon. For artificially dried fruit, it is Algonquin. Across the continent, indigenous groups had a very clever method. These tiny orange globes were harvested in the fall, dried gently to extract their deep sweetness, and then pressed into cakes that would last the harsh winter. They were used by Cherokee families to make bread. They were fermented into beer by Rappahannock populations. As concentrated trail food, the Comanche and Seol transported them over great distances. It was present everywhere. It was totally free. Every language spoken east of the Mississippi had a name for it. The tree itself was remarkable. Virgin Virginiana diaros. The name literally means food of the gods in Greek. It didn't need anything to grow. Dry ridge lines, flooded bottomlands, heavy clay, or sandy soil. It endured droughts without irrigation that killed everything around it, and it could withstand temperatures as low as -20 degrees Fahrenheit. Every fall, hundreds of pounds of fruit fell from a single mature female tree. Your descendants would still be picking from it if you planted only one. Additionally, the fruit was extremely nutritious. When ripe, it contains more than 30% natural sugar. Each tiny orange globe contains enormous amounts of lycopene, beta-carotene, and vitamin C. The results were astounding when contemporary researchers finally assessed the antioxidant capacity of everyday fruits. On their index, blueberries, which are widely regarded as the best antioxidants, had a score of 187. With a score of 406, the Native American persimmon more than doubled. The fruit has more than twice the antioxidant potential of the berry you pay $8 a pint for at the grocery store. It grows wild in millions of American backyards, scaling fence lines and roadside ditches from Connecticut to Texas. It's always been there. It's likely that you've passed it 100 times without stopping. Here's something no one told you about, though. From 1820 until 1882, the fruit was formally listed in the U.S. Pharmacopoeia. It was formally accepted as a valid clinical treatment in American medicine for 62 years. Open wounds, gastrointestinal illnesses, and fevers were all treated with the bark. Physician texts from the Midwest and South included Persimmon decoctions. Then, it was discreetly taken down in 1882. No controversy, no research demonstrating its inefficiency. It just vanished from the official record, and something replaced it within 10 years. Commodore Matthew Perry, a U.S. Navy commander, came from Japan in 1855 with Persimmon seeds, a completely different species from the Native American Pac-Man. The Japanese variation is called Diosporos kaki. It was stiffer and bigger. Before it was completely ripe, it could be harvested, placed in wooden containers, and transported across the nation without getting bruised. It reached the market undamaged. It appeared to be something that could be sold for a fee. 5,000 grafted Japanese persimmon trees in 19 commercial kinds were brought by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and planted in California in 1877. USDA plant explorer Frank Murr visited China several times to find more commercial kaki varieties. With the help of federal planting assistance and state agricultural extension programs, California had 98,000 yielding Japanese persimmon trees spread across 3,000 acres by 1930. None of it was given to the Native American Persimmon. In the 1890s, native varieties were temporarily examined at research sites. Then they came to a halt. No extension assistance, no federal funding, and no breeding program. Growers in California formed state-backed cooperatives and were provided with USDA resources throughout the entire process. The American Persimmon was left by the sides of the roads, growing freely in 26 states and unable to be integrated into a commercial supply chain. And it's not an accident. There is a pattern, because this fruit posed a threat in addition to being nutrient-dense. A substance known as betulinic acid is found in pimmons. Betulinic acid actively induces programmed cell death in human melanoma cells, according to research published in 2003 by the American Association for Cancer Research. Without endangering healthy tissue, it drives tumor cells into a self-destruction cycle. According to a 2018 study published in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences, Disporos virginana's natural ingredients significantly lower oxidative stress and cellular inflammation. The farmer identified the same qualities in 1820. When the Cherokee pressed it into bread and carried it through the winter, they recognized the same qualities. The existing body of knowledge was surpassed by science. So why isn't any of this listed on a label at any American grocery store? Why does this fruit, which has more than twice the antioxidant capacity of blueberries and a peer-reviewed anti-tumor chemical, with 62 years of formal medical acknowledgement, only grow in abandoned fence lines and roadside ditches because it cannot be owned? The American Persimmon did not leave quietly. Confederate soldiers roasted and crushed pimmon seeds as a coffee replacement during the Civil War, when Union naval blockades shut off all imports. According to newspapers, skilled drinkers were unable to distinguish the difference. To make consistent buttons, they cut the same seeds. The unripe fruit was used to extract ink. They used bark extracts to heal wounds. This tree supplied everything when everything else was gone. It posed a threat to the system that took its place precisely because of this. In a system based on dependency, a tree that produces food, medicine, fuel, and clothes from a single planting without irrigation, purchase, or permission has no place. The Japanese import was selected by the USDA. The American Persimmon was left to the deer, while the California cooperatives constructed the supply chain. The Eurasia was finished by the 20th century. On every produce shelf, there was an Asian variety. Only in untamed areas could the one that fed this continent for thousands of years, the one Dodo talked about and that John Smith recorded at Jamestown, survive. However, nothing changed. It still has double the antioxidant density of blueberries. In lab settings, its betulinic acid still induces apoptosis in cancer cells. Its ability to withstand cold is still remarkable. The American species is unharmed down to 20 degrees when Asian Persimmon crops perish in an unplanned freeze. It makes no requests. Once you plant it, it will always come back every year. Africans held in slavery in the American South knew it right away. As close relatives of the West African ebony family, they were aware of it. Because they were previously familiar with it, they included it into their diet and medication. According to culinary historian Michael Twitty, the flavors of pimmon beer made in enslaved villages included apricot, peach, and lemon cherry. A single native tree served as a thread that connected two universes. There was no need for a lab to make the connection. Patience was needed. And this fruit requires patience. The American pimmon is only ripe when it falls from the branch and touches the ground beneath the tree. It is not ready when it turns orange or when the first frost arrives. If you eat it before then, the tannins will cause your mouth to pucker so much that you won't remember it for a week. However, those tannins completely transform into pure sweetness during those last days of ripening. Brown sugar, tangerine, caramel, and honey. Everyone says the same thing when they first taste a completely ripe, wild American Persimmon. They find it unbelievable that something has been absent from their life. It's not hard to find. In 26 states, it grows wild. Its distinctive bark is deeply carved into tiny, rectangular chunks that resemble broken charcoal or alligator skin. Examine the margins of woodlands, old fence rows, and roadsides. It favors the edges of things, which is precisely where knowledge that has been forgotten always lurks. Early, golden, Proc, and Maya are among the named varieties that can be planted at home. In 1947, Dr. Elwin Meter of the University of New Hampshire chose Mida. It was specially designed to withstand temperatures as low as -25 degrees Fahrenheit while still bearing delicious fruit throughout the chilly northern summers. These are not artifacts from museums. These trees are currently accessible from nurseries and are fruitful. This autumn, plant one. Return in a few years, wait for the fruit to fall in October, when the leaves have fallen and the bare branches are adorned with little orange globes. Take a taste of what John Smith had. Discover what Hernando Dotto experienced in 1539. Before the USDA determined that it was more worthwhile to develop a firmer, shippable import from California than the tree already growing in your backyard, try what generations of people on this continent already understood. The American Persimmon continued to be the God's meal. The moment we concluded that something powerful, free, and unshippable had no place in our contemporary market, we simply forgot what it meant. It remains there, waiting in the October sunshine. Subscribe to Nature's Lost Vault and click the bell if this vault revealed something to you. What they attempted to remove is preserved with each like and share. Soon, the next vault will open,